Hello, Cynthia. How are you? Is the audio and the video okay? Can you hear me, see me? All right. Thank you, Cynthia. I'd like to start making some points about the homework you sent me to my email. Um, Actually, because we have lots of people in our class and I have some other classes as well, and I got like really not hundreds, but more than 100 emails with lots of exercise to correct. So I don't know if you have seen, but I have sent to your email. I have shared a folder with you on your emails. The folder contains the answers to the exercises you did and sent me. So I would appreciate your help if you could correct the exercises by yourselves, and then if you have any doubts, if you have any questions, then I'm always able to help you, okay? It's because with the number of students and the number of pages each document, it becomes so many things to correct, and I wouldn't be able to do it. Besides Paraná Fala Inglês, I also work on another program, so I also have some duties to accomplish for this other program. So although we are in quarantine and I'm at home, I've become like really busy by correcting things and preparing the classes. So I would appreciate if you could help me, by correcting the exercises yourselves and just asking me if you have any questions or anything. Okay, so I hope you understand it. Okay. Otherwise, it would take me like weeks. So we would be like 2 months in classes, and I would be answering um, emails with homeworks from the first lessons because it would take some time to correct all of them. Okay, so, well, um, let's see. So, hello, Mariana. Hi, Luciano. Hi, Mayara. Good to see you here. Well, as usual, the chat is open. Okay, you can type anything anytime you want with questions and doubts along the explanation. So I'll be here paying attention to answer to your questions. Well, starting with our material tonight. Today I'm gonna work with the Unit 3, the topic celebrations, okay, more specifically, like the previous weeks, on the grammar section, okay, and then after the transmission, we're going to the other website so we could have the speaking practice. Tonight, the topics are not so complicated, so dense like last week. Today, it's more like vocabulary stuff, not so much as verbal tenses or structures. Okay, we're gonna go over the quantifiers. Okay, and among them, the some, any, no, many, few, all, every, enough, and some other more. Okay, so I'll be working with these three grammar points tonight. Right, so let's do it. Do you have any comments or any questions before you start? Okay, just feel free to ask. Hello, Mariana. Right. Well, so guys, I'll start talking about it. Okay, so the quantifiers. Basically, most of the words, the vocabulary you're gonna see in these presentations, they're not gonna be new to you. Okay, we're gonna see more like details about their use because overall we know how to use them. Tonight, I'm gonna require from you the idea of that you recall some memories about countable and countable things that we study since the basics of our English classes. Okay, but they're gonna be some, they're gonna have their importance tonight because these quantifiers are about the countable and uncountable things. Okay, so let's start. Well, basically, just like the name suggests, the quantifiers, they try to express the amount of something, the quantity of something. Okay, so here we have the ones that we're going to talk about tonight. So we have all those, okay, so they are like in pairs because they work similarly. It depends on the countable, if it's depends on the noun, if it's countable or uncountable. And we're going to see how to use and details. There are small details like preposition when we use no or none, some, any, these kind of things. So probably you're gonna remember lots of things. Hello, Maria Paula. Right. Okay. Well. So let's move on. Recalling the details about countable and uncountable things, the name is very obvious. Okay. So the countable things are things that you can count. You can go like 1, 2, 3. You have plural and singular forms, okay, because you can count like apples, chairs, computers, people, okay. And here we have some examples. Many people, a few parties, too few chairs, fewer drinks, several tables. So all of those are plural, okay. Most of them take the S, like parties, chairs, drinks, tables. We have some irregular plural nouns like people. We have, so people is very common, everybody remembers this. We have also like mouse, you know, when about the computer or about the animal. The singular is mouse and the plural is mice. I'm gonna write in the chat so you can see. Okay, so like mouse, mice. This is not so common, okay, so maybe you've never seen it. It could be the first time, but it happens, okay? So because of this, because it's not so common, lots of people, especially foreigners, would say, mouses. Okay, I bought 3 mouses for my computer or something like this. It's not right, but everybody understands, okay? And remember that at the end of the day, the most important thing about languages is communication. So if the other person understands you, fine, okay? The things we study, the courses and everything, are just for improving, you know, like trying to reach the perfection about things. It's kind of unreachable, but we always have to try to learn more and improve and evolve, okay? Because then we're always pushing a little harder. Well, oh yes, Angelo mentioned about the child. Good example. The child, children, very good. It's another good example. Okay, so child, children. It's not right to say child's or to say children's. Okay, unless you are using the possessive case. I'm gonna write also on the chat like child's or children's. Okay. So you may hear the sound child's or the sound children's, but then it's gonna be like 100% sure that it's about the possessive case because child's or children's for plural doesn't exist. Okay, thanks for the reminder, Angelo. Well, so here are countable things. Here we have some uncountable things, okay, like fun, time, experience, okay, or less, which is very uncountable. It depends a lot on the context, okay. One question that you may ask yourselves, oh, but time, is time uncountable? But when we say like, how many times, or 2 times a week, all right, so the word is the same, time, times, but the usage is different. When we say, so pay attention that we say, 3 times a week. Now we are not talking about the period of time, but the number of events, all right? So when we say 3 times a week, we're talking about the episodes, the individual episodes, okay? And then that's countable. In this case, time, the concept of time, it's uncountable. So a little time, much time, a lot of time, okay? So it depends a lot on the context. In Portuguese, it's totally different. We would say tempo or vezes. So we never have this confusion in our Brazilian minds, but in English you might have this distinguish of the words. Okay. Oh yes, yes, Maria Paula. I'm also very annoyed by my chair because it makes some noise. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep that in mind for next class. Okay, right. Well, and sometimes we may have some quantifiers that work for both countable and uncountable. The previous ones, they were exclusive. For example, the first ones for countable things and the second ones for uncountable things. But most of them work for both. Okay, so it depends a lot on the object you use along with the quantifier. So some money or some people. Money is uncountable, people countable. Or juice, glasses. So it depends. Okay, so it's and then it will be very clear in the context. The context is like the king of all the languages because everything you need to get, to understand, to learn, the context will probably provide you, right? So here we have some things. All the words are common. Okay. One detail about the word information. Okay, so information is uncountable in English. Okay, so information is uncountable. There's no such thing as informations. Okay, so we have this in Portuguese, we say this in Portuguese, we transport this into English. That's fine, they understand. It's very popular that this world English is becoming the majority, so people are putting the mistakes into the English language. So maybe in the future it will be right. Well, some of them, like singular, countable things like each, every, either, neither. We're gonna see each one of them along the class. This one, both, is always plural because both always considers two things, two elements. Okay. Well, then now we start getting to the details. So most quantifiers can be used without a noun. Okay, so you don't need to mention the name of the thing. So you don't need to mention people, money, information. For example, did you see any animals on your trip? So the question establishes the context. Animals. And the answer says, actually, we didn't see any. Any what? Any animals, because it's established by the question, right? So it's possible to omit the noun to make it shorter, to make the conversation faster, okay, for many reasons. If you really say like we didn't see any animals, no problem, no difference, it's the same thing. The second question, have you got any spare change? Sure, but I only have a little. Spare change, coins, just a little money, not $100 bills or something. So spare change, coins that you can give away or you can lend. Well, how many people came to party? Only a few. Okay, so a few people. Did John or Jane call you last night? Both called me. So John called me, Jane called me. Both called me. Okay, so it's a way to speed up the conversation and make it more fluent. Okay. Well, some words, they need the noun. You must use the object. For example, no, all, every, and each. So for these four words, you must use the name of the object. For example, every person needs oxygen to breathe. Okay, so every person needs oxygen to breathe. And a detail, when we use the word every, the noun after that, so the noun must be singular, always singular, okay? It's never every people or every persons, no, it's every person. The next example, all cats are crazy. I don't agree, but all cats are crazy. So cats, plural here. Um, and all, you can use all with countable, uncountable, singular, or plural. Okay, so all cats are crazy. Okay, but I cannot say all are crazy. I cannot say that. I have to say all cats are crazy. All people are crazy. All the all the all the class is very intelligent, for example. So some things like that. Next. If you choose to add a determiner, we're gonna see examples of determiners after a quantifier, use of. Okay, so these are the most common determiners. The, my, your, his, her, its, their, our, their, these, those, these. So they're pretty common words. Okay, they're very basic. So I believe you have no doubts about them. Okay, but when they are included with a quantifier, you must use the preposition of. Okay, we're gonna see a few examples. The first one, can I have a little of your coffee? A little of your coffee. Okay, so because I'm using your coffee, I must use of. If I remove the possessive your, I could say, can I have a little coffee? And that's it. I wouldn't need the of coffee, no. Can I have a little coffee? But because I'm using the possessive, can I have a little of your coffee? Okay. Next one. Neither of my shoes are dirty. Neither of my shoes are dirty. My shoes. Okay. Or neither shoes are dirty. Neither shoes are dirty. If I remove the possessive. And the last example, I didn't see much of his house when I visited him. I didn't see much of his house when I visited him. His, possessive, so I need to use of. Okay. Right. Well, before a determiner, all and all of are possible, and both of are possible. So we're going to see in the examples. So if we use the quantifier, here we used little, neither, much, many, and the others. But for these two, all and both, the of is optional. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you use the possessive or not, the word of is optional. So I could say, someone stole all my money, or someone stole all of my money. It's the same thing, no difference. There's really no difference at all. Okay, so it's not about formal, informal. Okay, it's just an option, right? Or next, both of my parents are angry with me, or both my parents are angry with me. The same thing. Okay, just for these two quantifiers, all and both. Well, Fausto, you can't listen. Everybody, can you listen well? Okay, maybe, I don't know, the others are not complaining, so maybe try checking the volume or something, Fausto. Try to turn it up. If it persists, please let me know. Well, no and every are not used with determiners. Okay, so these two. And instead, we use none of and every one of or all of. All of what we saw before. For example, none of your friends called you on your birthday. Okay? None of your friends called you on your birthday. That's terrible. It's a question actually. So I cannot say no of your friends or know your friends. I don't say that. Because the possessive, your. It's very common to see things like, oh, no smoking, no stress, no money. Because these examples, they don't have the they don't have the possessive, your, my. So it's possible to say no stress, no money. But in this case, because I have the idea your friends, okay, and then I must use none of your friends, which is basically none is the combination of no one of your friends, okay, and the end of the message is zero. So 0 friends called you on your birthday. Or next, every one of the students in the classroom is tired today. So every one of the class the students in the classroom is tired today. Notice that we are talking about all the students, okay? That's the final message. So if we have like 20 students are tired. But when we use this expression every, observe that the verb is singular, okay? We're gonna see later in the second presentation. When we have these words, any, every, and some, the verbs are always singular, okay? So don't be fooled by this appearance of plural, okay? Right, so the other example, just imitate that. I'm just going forward. When we use the quantifier none with a plural noun, we can use a singular or a plural verb. In practice, none of them are here. Okay, so here we have the option because the verb is, in the singular form, is justified by the none thing. So none of them is here. And the plural form, them, justifies the verb are. Okay, so we have an option. None of them is, none of them are. So it's an optional. In Portuguese, we have similar things. We can choose if it's the determiner or the noun. So we have some things like this. So sometimes the rules are very similar in English. The second one, none of her friends smokes, or none of her friends smoke. Okay, so smokes agrees with none, and smoke agrees with friends. Okay, so we may have this. Oh, Fausto, you can't listen. The others, can you hear me well? Is everything okay with the sound? Or maybe, Fausto, if it's not working, maybe try closing the window and then trying entering again or something. Because I really have no idea what could be happening. Yes. Oh, all right. So try refreshing the page or something, Fausto, because I think that's with your streaming. All right. So that's the first one. Okay. Just to recall some of the quantifiers, let me show you again. Okay, those words. Well, focusing a little bit more on some of the most tricky, the trickiest of them, we have these three. So now I am on the, I am on the 3.2 now, okay, so the grammar 3.2, some, any, and no. They're pretty common, we use them since we start speaking English, basically, okay. And they have some possible combinations with especially the words thing, one, body, and where. So here we have a complete list with all of them. Well, so some, any, no. So these are the words that when we use them, they are always singular. Okay, so you always have to say like something is, someone is, everybody is, nobody is. So these words are always singular. Okay, even if you say things like, oh, I used every. Yes, every is not here on this list, but could be everyone, everything, everybody, everywhere. It's also singular, so, which may sound kind of strange because when we say like everyone, we mean all the people in the context, but the verb is singular. I like to compare it when we say in Portuguese like todo mundo é or todo mundo está feliz, for example. So when we say todo mundo, we mean like a lot of people, but the verb is singular, so it's something like that, okay? It's more like the group, the general idea. Here we're gonna go over some basic rules. So the most basic rule is that we learn when we are kids, teenagers, from English teachers, English books, that some we use in affirmative, any, negative, and questions, okay? But that's not the whole truth, actually. You may use some in negative sentences, you may use some in questions, you may use any in affirmative sentences, okay? But it depends a lot on the message you're trying to get across, okay? So let's see. Here we have classic examples. I would really like some water. Affirmative sentence, some water, okay? So here the person says, oh, you have like a bottle of water. I would like some water. So it's a glass or, I don't know, a few sips of the water, something like that. Or the second example, I would really like somebody to take my order. Okay, somebody. Maybe I am at in a restaurant and I see some waiters or waitresses working around and I see, oh, I need somebody to take my order. It doesn't matter if it's the waiter A or the waiter B. Okay, it's someone. Okay, at least one of them. Or the third example, I know somewhere great for the picnic. It's not very specific, it's somewhere. This place exists, it's real, but it's not very clear in the context. Right? So this is the idea of some. The idea of some is not specific, but it's part of the context, all right? Some water, part of the water, somebody, okay, a person from the group, somewhere, a specific place in a bigger place. The any. So he doesn't have any money. We don't know anything. Did you go anywhere last night? Okay. So especially for the first two examples, because they are negative sentences, this combination of doesn't plus any transforms the message into a zero, a no. So he doesn't have any money, it's zero. Or we don't know anything, zero. Okay. It's also possible, we're going to see in a few slides, but it's also possible to rearrange the negative part in the sentence. So we could say, he has no money. Okay, so we can like dislocate the negative from the doesn't and put it in the any money becomes no money. So it's possible, right? So he has no money, or we know nothing about the restaurant. Okay, so it's a possibility. There's no much difference actually. It's like a choice you have. But something that you shouldn't do is mixing both. Like, he doesn't have no money. You shouldn't do it. Or we don't know nothing. You shouldn't do that, okay? Because double negative in English is not correct, okay? For now. It's correct in Portuguese. In Portuguese we say, hey, ele não tem nenhum dinheiro. Or nós não sabemos de nada. Okay, so if we think logically, ele não tem nenhum dinheiro, não tenho nenhum, tem algum, but we don't work like that, okay? So our brains, they don't think like that. In English, that would be the message. He doesn't have no money, doesn't know, he would have something. But they don't see like that, okay? So the double negative in English is not a reality for now. Maybe in the future, could be right. And the last one, did you go anywhere last night? So when we used any for questions, the idea is, I don't know, I have no idea about where he went last night. So I'm asking, did you go anywhere? So at least one place. It doesn't matter where, but a place, did he go anywhere? That's the real message. Well, now, when is the moment that we can like break these rules? We can use some in questions, okay, or negative sentences when we mean the idea of a part of something. So here we have like some or something somewhere are used in requests, offers, and invitations. Basically, we may use this because our expectation is that the answer is yes. So for example, have I met you somewhere before? So you expect that the answer is yes because you recognize the person from somewhere and then you just want to check it. It's not a real question like, do I know you? Who are you? It's not a real question. It's kind of, oh, I have some idea. I'm feeling that I know you. And then I just want the confirmation, yes or no. The second question is like an offer. Would you like something to eat? Basically here, it's not about grammar or a question or negative. It's about politeness, okay? So you're trying to be polite. would you like something to eat? So it surpasses the grammar, okay, because it's about social interactions. And the last one, did someone eat my cake? Did someone eat my cake? I can see that there's no cake left, okay, so my cake is gone. So I know somebody ate it. I just want the confirmation. You know, like, did someone eat my cake? Okay, so it's more like, so it's not a real question. It's more like confirmation things. Guys, if you have anything to ask, any doubts, to repeat anything, just type it, all right? The next examples, question with some. Can we go somewhere and talk in private? Okay, it's like a request. So it's not a real question like, is it possible that we go? Or do we have the ability to go somewhere and talk in private? No, I am asking you, please, let's go somewhere and talk in private. Okay, but I ask you instead of ordering, let's go somewhere. Or would you like to come with me and get something to eat? I'm inviting you. Okay, so I'm being polite. Hey, let's get something to eat. Okay, and I just said this message, let's get something to eat, but in a more of a polite way, you know. I'm asking you. You can refuse if you wish. Okay. Now, any. We may use any in affirmative sentences, okay? For example, he left without saying anything. So he left without saying anything. Basically, the number of words he said is 0. Okay, so the message continues like a negative message. But all the verbs are affirmative. Okay, we have anything. Because he said 0 words, so without saying anything. Or, I've never eaten any food from that country. Okay, so never controls the negative idea. She has hardly anything to say. Hardly is a negative word, okay? So every time you use hardly, the message is negative, okay? Or I would come with you if I had any time. So this is like it's like the hypothesis is not real, okay? I don't have time. This is my reality. I don't have time. But if I had time, I would go with you. So that's why it's kind of negative, because the real situation is a negative thing. We may also use any, okay, or anything, anybody, anywhere, when we mean that it doesn't matter who, which, where, when, okay, so anyone. So you can use any computer you like. Okay, so here it's an affirmative sentence now, okay, but the message I'm trying to tell you is it doesn't matter the computer you use, okay? So it doesn't matter. You can use anyone, but you are probably going to use at least one of them. So you can use anyone. We have 10 options, so you can use any one of them, okay? It's different from saying like, you can use some computers. Oh, so if I can use some computers, maybe I can use 3 computers, but I cannot use 7 of them, okay, because, I don't know, they are broken or whatever, okay. So when we use some in affirmative, we are talking about a portion, part of the context. And when we use any, it's like anyone. It doesn't matter which. The next example, I don't care where we eat. I don't care where we eat. Restaurant, or diners, or, I know, street stands, you know, like hot dogs or hamburgers on the street. It doesn't matter where we eat. Let's go anywhere. I'm so starving. Let's go anywhere. So it doesn't matter where. Okay, that's the idea. I usually eat anything people give me. So I don't care about what people give me. I eat it. Okay, that's the message. Or anyone can learn English. That's so true, okay? Anyone can learn English, right? If you're a child, teenager, adult, or an elderly, it doesn't matter. Anyone can learn English because English is so easy, right? And no, we use, of course, no controls the negative idea, all right? Examples, I see nothing I like on the menu. Okay, so the verb is affirmative, but the message negative. I see nothing I like on the menu. Or wow, I just have no time these days. Okay, just like we transformed before the any the examples with any into the no examples. Here we could also reverse. Like I could say, for the first example, I don't see anything I like on the menu. I don't see anything I like on the menu. Okay. Or the second example, wow, I just don't have any time these days. Okay, so it's the same message. So you may use the negative part whatever you want, but not both at the same time, okay? Because double negatives are not okay in English. And two examples because they start the sentences, the last two. Nobody wants to help me. So just like I said before, nobody is singular. So nobody wants to help me. Okay, so the letter S because of the he, she, it in the present form. And the last example, nowhere is more beautiful than this park. So nowhere is more beautiful than this park. Okay, so nowhere, no place. There's no place in the world that compares to this park, basically. All right, so that's it for this part. Okay, so we have the quantifiers, we have the some, any, and no thing, and the many, few, and all. Okay, we're gonna see some things about the much as well here. So this one refers to the grammar 3.3. Okay, I don't know if you have seen, but in the previous videos I have put the minutes in the descriptions of the video. So like how the 3.1 starts at 24 minutes and 32 seconds. So it's easier because you just click it, okay, and it goes straight to the part you want to see. You don't have to, like skip all the video to find the specific part or things like that. So, is everything okay, guys? Just let me know you're alive, you're okay. Just type if you have any questions or any doubts. Well, many and much. So many much is probably the most famous example when we talk about countable or uncountable things. Okay. Well, when we use many and much, that's not so simple as memorizing. Oh, many for countable, much for uncountable. Natural English uses, like the sentence says, many and much are usually found in negative sentences and questions. So is it impossible to use in affirmatives? No. A famous example is, oh, thank you so much, thank you very much. It's affirmative with much, okay? But it's not the most common thing in English. Okay, so usually people prefer in affirmative sentences a lot. Okay, so a lot is probably the most common. So, oh, I work a lot. Or I work very much. Okay, so it's possible. But then it's like, what's more common? What's more natural? That's what we're discussing here. So I could say, how many kilometers do you live from school? Kilometers, plural. Okay, so many. Or do you have much spare time this weekend? Spare time is the same as free time. Okay, so some time off that you're not studying, not working. So do you have much spare time this weekend? Or there isn't much we can do about the problem. There isn't much we can do about the problem. So two questions in a negative sentence to show you, to exemplify the many and much application. There aren't many people in line to use the bathroom. Negative, many. There aren't many people. Or is there much experience in the committee? Also a question with a much. We could also replace those for a lot. There aren't a lot of people. Or is there a lot of experience? It's also possible, okay? So what the material is trying to show us is what's more common, okay? What's more natural when you're using English, okay? Not to cause any, oh, this person said this word order, it sounds strange, but okay, it's a Brazilian person, okay? That's the idea that we're trying to to improve here. So, much and many are usually used in affirmative sentences after so, as, or to. Then, probably you're going to recognize lots of examples here because you don't notice, you don't pay attention, but these are the moments you see much and many for affirmative sentences. For example, in my country, there are so many problems with the economy. Okay, because of the intensifier, so many problems. It sounds, I believe that you're thinking that it sounds natural now. So many problems, here, so much money, for example. It's common because this is a natural application of these words. Or the second example, I have almost as many friends as you do. So here we have a comparative, as many as you do. So I have almost as many friends as you do. You spend too much time working as the treasurer. So too much, remember that when we use too in this situation, it's always a negative meaning, okay? So when we use too as an intensifier, it's always negative. It's different from the classic, nice to meet you too, good to see you too. When we have in the end of the idea, it's okay, it's the classic também. But when we use it before adjectives or quantifiers in English, the idea is always negative. Okay, so it's not possible to say, wow, you are too beautiful today. This sounds very awkward, very strange, because probably the person has a limit to be beautiful, and tonight the person is too beautiful. So it's like it's over the limit. So that's why it's not a good compliment. You should say, wow, you're so beautiful, you're very beautiful, you're incredibly beautiful. These are ways that the message sounds positive. Okay. So too is always negative when it intensifies things. Or you worry too much about your reputation. Okay, so maybe here we can understand that there's a limit to worry about reputation, but you worry too much. It's over the limit. It's negative. Wow, I used so much money today. So much money. Here it's not too much money. It's okay. I used so much money today, but it's alright. I have money. I'm not gonna have some financial problems tomorrow, next month. So it's okay. But if I said, wow, I used too much money today, now it sounds bad. Okay, it sounds really bad because it's negative. Wow, I spent too much money. I'm gonna have problems next month paying my bills or things like that. Okay. Let's just move on. Well, with the exception of the second rule above, the use of much and many in affirmative sentences is quite formal. Okay, so it doesn't sound very natural because it's very formal. We're gonna see some examples. Like, they are very formal, so people don't use it, and sometimes they use other expressions. For example, written or formal English. Here we're going to see some examples that we almost never use, okay, because they're very formal. You may see in contracts, official documents by governments because of the formality, but probably you're not going to be very familiar with them because of the formality. Like a great deal of something, or quite a great deal of something. Okay, so sometimes we would say this with a very, a lot of. That's more common. Like a great deal of money was needed in the fund. So this could be a reporter talking the news, or I don't know, an international organization talking about reporting the things they did. It would be a more appropriate context, but not to use with your family, for example. Oh, mom, today I made a great deal of money. This sounds very formal, okay? So, oh, mom, today I made a lot of money. That's more natural. A large amount of something. So there's a large amount of gold in the north of that country. So gold, uncountable, a large amount of gold. A large number of, so because we have numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's countable. There's a large number of committee members. So how many committee members? I don't know, it's not clear here, but I could count the number. Okay. Here, amount, I don't count because it's just for uncountable things. Amount of gold, amount of money, amount of fun, amount of love. I don't know, abstract things, and the number, it's countable. Spoken or informal English, so this sounds more okay, more normal, like oh, plenty of things. Oh, we ate plenty of good food on our vacation. This is very spoken English, you know, like a speaking situation. You can find plenty of people in the park on the weekends. So plenty of, lots of students learn English without using a dictionary. Lots of. There's lots of information about that subject on the internet. And then it doesn't matter if you use plenty of or lots of with countable or uncountable, plural, singular. So it doesn't really matter, okay? Because it's informal, so you just use it. Quite a lot of, a bunch of. A bunch of is very, very classic of spoken English, okay? Because a bunch, like a group of something. Okay, so here a lot of time was spent on the initiative. I need a lot of coins to park there. Uh, Here, the previous slide we saw lots of, and here a lot of. They're the same thing. So you can say lots of time was spent, or I need lots of coins. So something like that. And a bunch of. So you're gonna need a bunch of money. So it's a bunch of money, or a bunch of people were watching the game in the bar. Okay. Now, some tricky things. So little, few, and a bit of. So a little and a few express a small amount in a normally positive way. Okay, so we're gonna see this. Usually with these expressions, a little, a few, the quantity is enough for something. So the message sounds positive. For example, hey, let's go get a coffee. I have a little money to spend. So, oh, it sounds okay. I have I have this money and I can spend this money without having any problems in the future. So let's go get a coffee. I have a little money. Or we went to the game with a few of my friends. Oh, it was a nice group, a few of my friends, so it was a nice bunch of people, basically. Okay, so this sounds positive. Uh, Besides the choice of words, you may also notice the intonation or the facial expression. People, hey, let's go get a coffee. I have money to spend. So it looks a little and it sounds a little happier. Okay. Because when we just use little and few, so remember, here it's a little and a few, and here it's little and few. This sounds usually negative, okay? Because the meaning is not enough. It was not sufficient. Oh, I can't go out for dinner with you as I have little money to spend these days. Also, the voice intonation, the facial expression sound and look a little down, not so positive. So I have little money to spend, or there are few people in this nightclub. Let's go somewhere else. So it's not enough people, okay? We should have more people to have a good party or something. So that's the implicit message. I believe that maybe Brazilians uh, shouldn't have so much problems with that thing because we use the same thing. Because here, for a little and a few, say pouco. Você pode me emprestar pouco de dinheiro? Beleza, eu tenho pouco de dinheiro para te emprestar. But when we remove the article, like pouco, pouca, we usually use it for negative things. Desculpa, não posso te emprestar dinheiro, eu tenho pouco dinheiro este mês, ok? Ou, eu tenho poucos amigos, eu gostaria de mais. Então, sem o artigo uma, parece pouco negativo também para a gente em português. So it's kind of the same logic, I would say. Of course, it's not a rule 100% of the time, right? But it's kind of a good direction that you may follow. Okay, and a bit of, the last one, a bit of is coming in spoken or informal English for uncountable nouns. Okay, so we watched a bit of the beginning of the movie before we left, so a bit. Okay, so it's a little part of the movie, or a bit of the information you gave me didn't make a lot of sense. Okay, so a bit of the information. It was not the complete information, just part of it. Okay. It's very common for us to say, a little bit, a little bit. This information, this expression is very familiar to us, and that's okay. Sometimes instead of using, for example, the expression so to talk about this situation, prefer a bit, a little bit. Okay, it sounds more natural. Oh, are you hungry? Oh, a bit of hungry or kind of hungry. Okay, but try to avoid the idea of so. Okay, it exists. Okay, it's correct actually, but it's kind of outdated. You know, it sounds very old-fashioned, not very natural anymore. So a bit, kind of, are good replacers for that. Okay, and the less details. If we use the adverb quite before the expressions a few, a bit of, the meaning is the opposite. So strangely, this means many or much in English. So again, it's not like a verbal, it's not a grammar rule. It's 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 like a just a note, just like a reminder from what people use. So it's harder to classify this as a grammar rule, like, oh, that's a rule you have to memorize. No, it's more like you have a feeling when you're in the conversation, when you're listening to the person. Here are some examples. I spent quite a bit of time on my homework last night. So they're using the expression bit, but the meaning is a lot of time. Okay, so I spent a lot of time on my homework last night. Okay, or there are quite a few people in the line. Okay, um, so basically the idea is very few people in line. Or we visited quite a few museums in Italy. Okay, so it's basically, oh, it was a good number. Okay, not necessarily one or two, and we would like to visit more. No, it's more than we expected, more than we should, or something like that. And all is pretty much what we discussed before. Okay, so all and everybody, everyone, everything, uh, they're pretty much the same thing. Sometimes the predominance of one of those words may happen. Like, oh, in my country, everybody uses chopsticks. Or you could say, in my country, all of the people use chopsticks. Okay, it's also a possibility. But probably all of the people use chopsticks. It's not the first option in a native person's mind. That's basically what the material is trying to say. Or everything that store was on sale. Okay, it's better, faster, easier to say everything in the store was on sale than all the objects in the store were on sale. Okay, so that's more like the material is trying to show us with this comparison, every and all. Okay, right. Like we saw before, because of the determiners, and we don't use the word every with the determiner. Okay, so like every your car or every of your cars. So we don't say this. So then it's easier to say with all. Okay, so all of your love, all of my love. I think there's a song by a rock band like this. So all of my homework is done. Or okay, so everything in my homework is done. That's the message. So it's more like this. More examples here. All of the students, or every student, singular, every student in the room is tired. Or all of the students are tired. So it's more like this. Okay, guys, so basically I just wanted to show you this tonight. Okay, so these three things. So the 3.1 quantifiers, the 3.2 about some, any, and no, and the 3.3 about the many, few, and all. So many and much, few, little, and all and every. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, it's not like a grammar rule. Okay, you can change it if you are not sure about, oh, should I use much or many here. change to a lot. Okay, so it's a like an escape you have, or something like that. Yeah, so Angelus asked, can we compare quite a few with muito pouco in Portuguese? Well, in this case, as according to the material, the quite a few means a lot. Okay, so the words are not the meaning of a lot, but the combination in the context means a lot. So quite a few. I think it would say something that we say, for example, quite a few people. Até que tinha um número de pessoas lá, até que tinha um bom número de pessoas. So it's more like when we say this. What was the example that they used? Here, like, I spent quite a bit of time on my homework last night. So this is like, I spent a lot of time. And in Portuguese, probably we would say like, gastei bom tempo na minha tarefa. Okay, bom tempo. Bom tempo, it's not the quality of time. Like, it's not about, the time was good or the time was bad, or I'm trying to give some characteristic to the time. It's more an emphasis. It's not a short time, it's a long time. They say bom tempo. Muito pouco in English, you could use very little, okay? Especially pouco, because it's uncountable. So, I have very little money, okay? So, very little money, for example. Or, today I drank very little water. Very little water. This would be the muito pouco. Because in Portuguese, the idea muito pouco is literally a small portion, a small number of something. So this would be, would say that quite a few is a false cognate. Yes, Alonso mentioned if quite a few is a false cognate. Yes. I'm not sure about this cognate thing, because cognate is something that is born with the same characteristic. Yes, we use cognate for things like words that they look similar to another word in another language. But we could say, Alonso, that it's kind of like a false expression, because it's made by some words, but the meaning is the opposite. So yeah, you could say that. You could say that it's quite a false expression. Okay. Okay, guys. Any questions or anything that you might have? Basically, what we studied last week, for example, about the future, the future perfect, future continuous, future simple, will, going to. That's like part of the grammar. Okay, so to communicate with somebody, eventually you're gonna have to use that. Okay, so that's essential. These things that we are studying today about details about some, and they're more like it, details. Okay, so of course they will enrich your English if you use them correctly. Okay, but they're not gonna destroy the message completely if you forget to use the preposition of, or if you say every when it should be all. So it's not gonna be so serious. But of course, we always, I like to think that we always have to try to learn the correct way to make a mistake if you wish. Okay, so maybe, I'm talking to my friend, I'm not gonna be formal, so I will use this wrong structure to show intimacy and proximity with my friend. So that's more like it. Okay. Mauricio asks, if we just use a feel without the quite, it would mean poucas. Yes. If you don't use the quite, the message is literal. A few, poucos, poucas for countable things. Okay. But like we saw in the material, a few with the article a, it sounds positive. Okay, so in the context it will sound positive. Okay, so I expected nobody to come to my party, but a few people showed up. Okay, so I'm saying this like optimistically, because I expected nobody, so I had a pessimistic thought, but a few people showed up, so it sounds positive. Okay. I don't know if I answered to your question, Mauricio. Also, can we correct our evaluations? So the evaluation, let me see. I believe the evaluation I had just opened the first quiz. Oh no, I opened the second quiz. So guys, basically when you submit the quizzes, especially this automatic version, this is what I see. Okay, so I have the quiz, and I can preview the quiz, the exercises, or I can view the evaluation. And here I can track all the students who did or did not do the exercises. Okay. So here, for example, I'm not gonna try not to show the names, but that's what I have. And I can see all the, like, I can view the results, like the percentage that I believe you have the access when you submit. I can open exclusive your exercise. So for example, if I click here, the first one, Alonso. So if I click here, I will see what Alonso typed, but I cannot change, I cannot correct, okay? I just see. For these ones, the correction is automatic. These are the quizzes. So the quizzes are on the evaluation part. So the quizzes, they are like a compilation of all the unit. So today, after our class, I will close the Unit 2 quiz and I will open the Unit 3. I must close all the students' access to the quiz 2, for example, to open the quiz 3. So that's why I always establish the date like, oh, I opened this quiz last class, April 16th, and then it's gonna be open till April 24th, tomorrow, okay? So a week to do the quiz. So after, because I need to close all the access to open the new quiz, so that's why you lose the access to this quiz, and then it's like you didn't do the activity. That's it. About the exercises, like I said in the beginning, so I guess you probably saw that it's like lots of pages, sometimes 8, 10, 14 pages of exercises for one of the grammar items. So because of the number of things, like sometimes everyone in the class sends me 3 files, every file has like 10, 12, 14 pages, so it becomes a huge number of pages to correct. And then I'm not being able to correct all of them in time for the class. So for example, if I didn't correct your exercise and send you back, it's because I haven't had time yet, so that's why. And then yesterday or the day before yesterday, I'm not sure, I sent you the answers, okay? So for the Unit 2 that we studied, and I asked you to do the exercises, I have sent you the answers, okay? So just like I said in the beginning of the transmission, so I have sent you the answers for the prediction, the side in the future, and the number 3, the future continuous and future perfect. So you probably got a notification on your email, but it's a folder in my Google Drive that I include there, and then you can go there and open and see the answers to correct by yourselves. Then if you have any questions, if you don't understand why the correct answer is that instead of your answer, I'm all ears, okay? Just text me or talk to me, and I'll be happy to help you guys. Maria said, teacher, I'm starting the course today, so I missed the quiz deadlines. Could I complete them anyway? Okay, Maria, I'll talk to you privately later about this because of the deadlines and you're joining us today. Okay, missed you? Yes. I saw that probably you have seen in the group that PFE's secretary, she sent a schedule, okay? So all the teachers at Paraná Fala Idiomas, we have some extra class hours to give you some tutoring, to explain, to review. My tutoring hours are on Wednesday mornings, 8:30 to 10:30, and Friday afternoons, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And we have separating in like blocks, so for example, Wednesday morning, 8:30 to 9:30, one student. or two students like Carolina and Maria messaged in the group today, it's okay. And 9:30, 10:30, another student. So if you're interested in having more of a private tutoring, okay, to review if you missed some class or if you would like to some more explanation about something, just send a message in the group to me or to the secretary, and then we will put your names there. So the positions are open for next week and the week after that. So I guess until the beginning of May, okay? So just leave your names there in the time you prefer, and then we'll schedule so we can have this meeting. Okay, of course it's not a live meeting. It's like this, and it's an online one. Okay. All right, guys, that's all I had to say, I guess. So I'm gonna stop the transmission now. Okay, and then like we did last week, you have a picture of the groups in our WhatsApp group. I will resend, and then we're going to the other website, and we have smaller groups so we can have some speaking. Today, to try to be fair somehow, I'll start with in the inverse order. So last week, I guess we went 1 through 6 or 1 through 7 groups. Today we'll go like backwards. So 7, 6, 5. Okay, so I'll start now with the last group, and then I'll go backwards. The others, so you can do the exercises or you can take a little break, okay? And I will send in the group I'll send in our WhatsApp group the number of the group that should enter there. Teacher, the test didn't very well. Continue feedback to see what we're missing. Okay. Jen talked about the tests. These tests, they are like the exercises or the quiz? Because a test, like a real test, we're gonna have just at the end of the semester, okay? Like a real test with the grades. So far, we have just had the quiz, which you get an automatic feedback when you submit the quiz. You can see the percentage. Yes, you don't really have how to see your answers in a comparison with the correct answers. So the smart platform doesn't offer you this kind of possibility. But for the exercise, then you can see the answers that I have sent you on your emails. Carolina asked about the group number. Let me take a look. All right, so Maria asked about how is the group thing working. I think it's working better than the first week, okay? I'm always open for a suggestion. So if you have some suggestions or something, please let me know. Okay, so I guess Carolina, you were already in the group 6 since last week, okay? So I have resent the picture in our group, in our WhatsApp group, so you can take a look there. And I will resend the link that you access to the speaking part. Okay. But that's it, guys. I'm gonna call it a day, okay? And then we continue in the other group. So now I'll go to our WhatsApp group. So pay attention there, right? So thank you a lot for the patience, for your presence. See you soon, guys.